from Coach Elizabeth Pinon. As far as coaching being direct to their players, what do you think is more effective for a 9U kid pitch team? Is calling out mistakes and an aggressive voice towards the players more effective during game time?
I think it all depends on the player. I'm not a fan of yelling out from the dugout. I think it's a lot more productive, for physical mistakes, because the errors are going to happen, to talk to the kid in between innings. If there's a kid that's making an error because his feet aren't moving, well, me screaming from the dugout, keep your feet moving, isn't going to help. But me putting my arm around him in between innings and saying, hey, remember what we worked on in practice? You're getting stuck, your feet aren't moving, we need to work on our right-left timing to get through that ball. Now he's going to be focused on me, he's going to be paying attention. If I'm screaming out from the dugout, he's embarrassed. His dad's probably already screaming from left field to catch the ball. He wants to make that play. So me screaming from the dugout isn't going to help anything other than, probably put more stress on the kid. It's the same thing, I see dads and moms standing behind home plate yelling from the on-deck circle at their son, head down, drive your hips, keep your hands inside the ball, don't drop the barrel. I mean, we're not playing a video game here. And these kids are out there trying to do well, trying to compete. So, I'm a big fan of talking in between innings, doing it quietly in the dugout. There's no reason to yell and scream and, bark out commands from the dugout. You're just going to put stress on the kid.
Yeah. And I always say this in the first day of practice. Listen, Coach Duke is a very infectious, kind of a loud guy. And when I'm talking to you, it might sound like I'm yelling, but I'm not. I'm coaching, and when you're on the field, I have to be loud so you can hear what I'm saying and understand. But I will never yell at somebody or say something that's embarrassing. It's for everybody. It's for everybody to hear. Just like in practice yesterday, somebody did something and we stopped, we went over, and we helped everybody because everyone's gonna make the same mistake. So if somebody balks, you're yelling balk, you explain what it means and what happened, and then you move on to the next one. But I think that's really important. And us as coaches, I think when somebody makes a mistake, instead of pointing a finger at somebody else, I think we have to look at our thumb. Our thumb points right at us. Us as coaches, if Johnny keeps on fielding the ball incorrectly, I think it's our job to get Johnny to field the ball correctly. So we have to come up with drills to help Johnny so that he can catch the ball. Or if every single runner is not running the right way or nobody knows how to slide, it's not their fault, it's our fault. So we have to make sure that we are coaching the game. If the kids are doing something wrong, maybe we're not explaining it well. Maybe we're not doing a good job communicating how we want it to be done, even though we know what we're trying to say. Maybe they don't understand it, so we have to break it down or explain it a different way. At the end of a practice, talk to the coaches. Hey, coaches, how do you think it went today? Get their feedback on stuff. Or, hey, maybe we need to talk a little bit differently about our lead off second base because the secondary lead's not good. Maybe they don't understand what it means to take a secondary lead. Okay, next practice, we'll communicate it differently. But, like Coach Steve said, if a kid makes an error and all of a sudden you're screaming after them, that's the last thing that they need. They know they made an error, and I'm sure mom and dad are screaming. We had a player 2 years ago. Every time the pitcher would pitch, the dad would get his chair and sit right behind home plate, and he was looking just like this. Anytime there was a ball, anytime he'd be arguing pitches, and it was just like, dude, what, like, God, and meanwhile, his son had to throw to him every single pitch. He's throwing home, and then he had to look at his dad. Did his dad think it was okay what he just did, or did he not? Did he need to do this? Did I like it? And then we were just like, listen, you can't sit back there anymore. Enjoy the game from over there, but having your son watch you every single pitch, that's tough. And think about us as coaches when our son's on our team. It's the same thing. We have to leave them alone a little bit. Let them play the game. The game's supposed to be fun. Practice is when we work hard. The game is for the kids. The game is for them to play it, for us to take notes, and for us to get ready and build the next great practice. It's not to yell at them and tell them all the things that they did wrong in the game, or else we're going to lose them real quick, and Our job is to keep them in the game.
Yeah, and there's a big difference between physical mistakes and mental mistakes. You know, if I get a kid that grounds out to the pitcher and he's walking down the first baseline, then you'll hear me yelling from the dugout, or you'll hear me yelling from the third base coach's box. You know, if a kid misses a sign, you know, those are times to get on your players. The physical mistakes, the parts of the game that happen so often, you know, walking a kid, making an error, swinging and missing, maybe chasing a high fastball, those don't need to be addressed, you know, in a fiery passion. It's got to be, you know, talking in between innings, being calm, cool, and collected about it. But there are times where things that we can control, you know, our attitude, our effort, those things cannot happen on the baseball field. And those are things I address early on in the season. I address them on day one. You know, these are our guidelines, or, you know, these are the things that we're going to do every single day. We're going to be on time, and we're going to play the game hard. So if you're not playing the game hard, well, expect to be coming out of the game, sitting the next inning, expect to be spoken to loudly, you know, but those other things where, you know, another thing that comes to mind is there was a kid pitching, and it was 13U baseball. So it was his first time pitching from 60 feet, and he's struggling to find the zone. And after every pitch, his dad's screaming from the stands, throw it, throw a strike. And the kid looked at him like, what do you think I'm trying to do out here? And, you know, I talked to him in between innings, and I wasn't trying to go against his dad or make his dad seem like a bad guy, but I told him, I said, flush out your dad. Just, you know, put the blinders on. It's you and the catcher out there. Forget about it. Pretend he's not even there. And it's tough because at 13U baseball, you got 35 people watching the game, and they're all parents. So, you know, his voice stood out to everyone, and everybody knew exactly who he was, and it's tough. It's one of those things where you don't want to go against the parents, but I think we as coaches need to be the, you know, the intermediary and try to get them to focus on the game and not what's going on outside the fences.